had that feeling deep down that you're maybe carrying a weight that isn't really yours?
Yeah. Like maybe something from your family's past or a decision someone else made that somehow seems to be affecting you now.
Exactly. It's almost like you're, paying for something you didn't do, or maybe even getting credit for something you didn't earn. We all kind of feel that pull sometimes, wondering if our path is really truly our own.
Or if we're just sort of living out scripts written generations ago.
Right. Well, today we're diving into a question that's frankly ancient, but feels incredibly relevant right now. Can you actually inherit things like faith or righteousness or even guilt?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Where are we looking for answers?
We're digging into a really profound passage from the ancient text of Ezekiel, chapter 18 specifically. It tackles this exact question head on.
Ezekiel 18. Yes, that's a powerhouse chapter on this very topic.
So, our mission here is to unpack this text. We want to pull out the crucial insights, maybe some surprising facts even, that challenge how we usually think about personal responsibility and spiritual ownership.
It's fascinating how relevant it still feels. This isn't just ancient history. It speaks directly to our own sense of agency, doesn't it?
Totally. And it starts with something people back then were actually saying all the time. The source material mentions this popular proverb in ancient Israel. You'd hear it everywhere, apparently.
Oh, you mean the fathers eat sour grapes?
And the children's teeth are set on edge. That's the one. So what did that really mean to them? What were they getting at?
Well, it was pretty straightforward, actually. They were basically saying, look, we're suffering now because of what our ancestors did, or things are bad, but hey, it's not our fault. It was a way to push the blame backwards.
So, like, a cultural shortcut for explaining away their current problems, blaming the previous generation.
Exactly. It was a way of externalizing responsibility for their spiritual state, their national situation, whatever it was. It made sense of their suffering, in a way.
Okay, but then, this is where it gets really interesting. God steps into the conversation, right? And he issues this direct, almost startling correction.
Oh, absolutely. The text says God declares that this proverb, it will literally no longer be used in Israel, period.
Wow, imagine hearing that. For a culture soaked in that idea, that must have landed like a bombshell.
Definitely a theological bombshell.
Yeah.
Think about it. In a society where family and tribe were often seen as this single unit, spiritually speaking, where one person's actions could ripple down for generations.
Yeah.
God comes in and basically fits the script. He introduces this foundational principle. Listen to this. Behold, all souls are mine. The soul of the Father as well as the soul of the Son is mine. The soul who sins shall die.
So wait, all souls are mine? That sounds like individual ownership by God.
Precisely. It's a radical shift. He's saying each individual soul, father or son, stands directly before him. Not as part of some collective blob inheriting fate, but with personal responsibility. The buck stops with the individual.
Okay, so he doesn't just state the principle, he illustrates it, right? Ezekiel 18 lays out these scenarios, almost like case studies.
Exactly. 3 really vivid examples to drive the point home. First, picture a righteous person.
Okay, what makes them righteous according to the text?
Well, the text lists specifics. This person doesn't eat upon the mountains, which meant avoiding pagan rituals and idol worship. They respect others. They help the poor, give back what they owe, follow God's rules consistently.
Right. They're living a life aligned with God's standards and the outcome for them.
The text is crystal clear. He shall surely live. His choices, his actions lead directly to life. It's cause and effect, personally applied.
Okay, straightforward enough, but then comes the twist.
Right. Scenario 2. Imagine this righteous father, the one doing everything right, has a son who is, well, the polar opposite.
How so?
This son is violent, sheds blood. He does go eat on those forbidden mountains. He defiles his neighbor's wife, oppresses the poor and needy, commits robbery, charges exorbitant interest.
Yeah.
Basically, engages in all sorts of abominations.
Okay, so here's the million-dollar question then. Does the father's goodness rub off? Does his righteousness kind of shield the son from the consequences?
Not even slightly. The text makes it absolutely explicit. Even though his father was righteous, the son's own terrible choices lead directly to his own death. It says, starkly, his blood shall be upon himself.
Wow. So righteousness, definitely not inherited. You can't ride on your parents' coattails, spiritually speaking.
That's the point. It has to be personal, lived out, chosen.
Okay, so then the third scenario must be the reverse, right? To cover all the bases.
Exactly. Now picture a wicked father. This guy practiced extortion, robbed people, did all sorts of evil things, just a bad dude.
Right.
But he has a son. And this son sees all the terrible stuff his father does.
Yeah.
He sees the sin. But crucially, he makes a conscious choice not to follow that path.
So he actively rejects his father's lifestyle. What does he do instead?
He does the opposite. He doesn't eat on the mountains, avoids idols, doesn't oppress anyone, gives food to the hungry, clothes the naked, obeys God's rules, walks in a cross. His statutes. He chooses righteousness.
And the outcome for him, let me guess.
You got it. The text says, he shall not die for his father's iniquity, he shall surely live. He lives because of his choices.
And the wicked father.
The wicked father dies for his own iniquity. It couldn't be clearer. Guilt isn't inherited any more than righteousness is. Each person answers for themselves.
So these examples, they aren't just stories. They're like legal precedents establishing this core truth.
Absolutely. They build the case for the final powerful declaration in the chapter. The son shall not suffer for the iniquity of the father, nor the father suffer for the iniquity of the son. Simple as that.
And it goes on, right?
Yes. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon himself, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon himself. It's about fairness. God's justice is personal. It sees the individual.
Now, does this completely erase any idea of, like, generational consequences? Because we do see patterns in families, good and bad.
That's a really important clarification. No, this doesn't mean the impacts of one generation's choices don't affect the next. Of course they do. We see that all the time, cycles of poverty, abuse, but also legacies of faith and generosity. What Ezekiel 18 is radically recentering is spiritual judgment and ultimate accountability. Before God, your standing is based on your choices, not your dad's or your grandma's.
Okay, that distinction is key. The consequences might ripple, but the spiritual verdict is personal. That's
Yeah.
actually incredibly empowering, isn't it? And maybe a little scary.
Both, I think. It puts the power and the responsibility squarely back on you.
So let's bring this home. How does this ancient message land for us, living our lives today? It sounds obvious, sure, I'm responsible for myself. But is it really how we live?
Think about it. How easy is it, even subconsciously, to maybe lean on someone else's spiritual life, like relying on a parent's faith or a mentor's connection with God, or even just the energy of your church community?
Yeah, like assuming their spiritual coverage somehow extends to you, a sort of spiritual crutch.
Exactly. It's a subtle thing, but common. We admire their vitality, their discipline, and maybe we coast a little, thinking their faith is enough. Ezekiel 18 forces us to ask, are you cultivating your own relationship with God, or are you just sort of living off the overflow from someone else's?
That's a challenging question. It's asking, do you take personal responsibility for your choices, your beliefs, your walk with God? Because this passage makes it undeniable. Faith isn't like inheriting blue eyes. It's not genetic.
Not at all. It's chosen. It's active. It requires your personal response. God isn't just the God of your parents or your community. He invites you directly into relationship.
So it's about owning it, owning your faith, owning your choices, walking with God because you have encountered him, because you believe he's worthy, not just because it's what your family does or what you've always known.
Precisely. It's about that direct personal connection and the responsibility that comes with it.
So, wrapping up this deep dive into Ezekiel 18, the core takeaway seems incredibly clear and maybe even liberating for some. Spiritual accountability, it's individual, full stop, not generational.
Your relationship with the divine, your ultimate standing, it's deeply personal. It's something you choose, you cultivate. It cannot be simply handed down or inherited.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on, really building on this.
Yeah, if righteousness and guilt are truly radically personal, if your spiritual destiny isn't predetermined by your ancestors or even the people right next to you,
then what incredible freedom, but also what profound responsibility does that place on your shoulders for the path you choose going forward, regardless of where you came from or what anyone else decides?
something powerful to consider as you navigate your own journey.